It's not going to be good.
Wow, let's talk to Clay in Iowa, and then we'll go to Julio and Chris, both in Illinois. Clay, you're on the air with Bev Harris. So what'd you see?
Hi, Bev. Hi, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, in my precinct, not only did Ron Paul get the most votes, Ward 2, precinct DM27 in Des Moines, Iowa, but actually Romney had gotten the least amount of votes. And what I thought was funny is in the school that we took these caucuses at, there was multiple precincts in the school in different places. Like one would be in the gym, library, and the other precincts had come over to talk like chair to chair on these precincts and compare notes. And Ron Paul had won in the other ones too, and Romney was down right there at the bottom. I mean, he wasn't even second or third.
Yeah, well, who believes that Republicans are want somebody who wrote Obamacare, is for abortion, carbon taxes, and open borders and gun control? I mean, does anyone believe this? The system is cramming him down the throat because he's a big banker, raider, hedge fund globalist. Bev?
Right, and they call him a businessman. He was a hedge fund runner. I mean, who in this world, American business it's supposed to be, entrepreneurs and the small mom and pops, and that's what really drives most of the employment in America still, even with the big
not a bunch of hedge fund speculators who get banker bailouts. Bev, do 5 more minutes was on the other side. I know you've got to go, but I want to finish with the caller, too.
Sure.
Caller, anything else you witnessed then? Did they properly report your precincts as all for being for Ron Paul?
I did not see it once it left. They counted it in front of everybody. They let everybody take pictures, see. It was very transparent up until the time I left the caucuses. And what happened to the vote from there to wherever it goes, I can't say.
Yeah, well, it went to a special place where Easter bunnies count them. Bev Harris is our guest. We'll be right back with her comments on all of this, then open phones and a bunch of other news. In the third hour, Iran threatening to attack U.S. aircraft carriers.
Big Berkey water filters are in high.
All right, we've only got a few minutes left with Bev Harris. Clay, listening in Iowa on channel 166 on XM. Anything else you wanted to add? So you saw multiple precincts there, all reporting Ron Paul, but after that happened, you don't know what went on.
No, I don't.
Anything else you'd like to add?
A lot there. We have our fluoride heads here, okay, but I think for the most part, people here are grounded enough to see through the slick car salesman speak and the fancy hairdo and the crisp white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. Give me a break. Dude's never worked a day in his life.
You're talking about mittens?
Yeah. I mean, I'm around people. I'm a diesel mechanic. I deal, I bust ass. Excuse me. And it makes me sick for these people to come out and stand on a hay bale and act all folksy. It's kind of condescending.
No, you're right. I really appreciate your call. I remember Bush going out to Crawford, and they admitted it. They had old tractors they weren't using and hay bales, and he'd get out there with a chainsaw. I mean, it's Alice in Wonderland. But again, Bev, I go back to the other point. People aren't buying it anymore. The system's losing more and more credibility.
Right.
Where do you see this going?
Well, I have to tell you, I like the car salesman analogy. I'm probably going to steal that and use that. But, well, I think that we are waking up. I mean, I do see, on the populist movement waking up on both the right and the left, which is good. And now you start seeing real attempts at panicky trying to, wedge them apart so that they never talk to each other and find the common denominators. But we have to continue to build that, and I don't think it needs to be 100% organized by any one person. We just need to keep, waking up our friends and helping people see that this is for real. This is important. And we don't have a democratic system, haven't had for several decades, but the magic show is becoming, we're starting to see You know, it is. It's a bunch of used car salesmen up there with a prepared story that they tell everyone, and then everybody is getting better about not just believing whatever it is they see.
Bev, though, when do we pass the Rubicon, though? Because even if people don't agree with some of Ron Paul's policies or ideas, the whole system's attacking him. Al Gore's come out against him. He clearly is not under their control. And when do you cross that point where the system's so discredited that when they demonize you, that's actually an endorsement?
Right, that's a good thing. I mean, I think we're starting to get there, and that needs to continue. One of the things that's been so helpful for me is to look back in history and see when there have been situations where there has been somebody that needs to be dealt with like this, and there isn't, you know, the power has to shift. It can and does happen. I mean, if you look at the movement in the world to ban slavery, not here, but in England, which was 100 years beforehand, they were completely dominated. Their economy was dependent on slaves. It was the sugar trade then was as powerful as the oil trade is now. It wasn't feasible for them to ban it, but they did. When you start looking at the fact that power shifts can happen, and they do happen, but they're not necessarily going to happen in 5 minutes. But the thing is, you know, once people see the truth, they don't not see the truth.
Well, that's right. I mean,
building that.
In 1800, maybe 1% of the population was abolitionist. By 1867, 68, it was banned. And then it still took time to, you know, change, you know, from that point and get real freedom. But it's a process. Nothing can stop people when they're in the right and don't back off and don't stop.
That's right.
And you're a visionary, a trailblazer. You've been proven right. Ron Paul, myself, it's happening. Listeners out there, we're not going to win this war overnight. It takes dedication. It takes the truth. Bev Harris, blackboxvoting.org. Look forward to talking to you more later in the week as things unfold and we get more info on Iowa. God bless you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We'll be back with more calls, tons of news. Stay with us. Well, we got Planned Parenthood with an annual report of $500 million in tax money. That's eugenics. We're going to be covering that more coming up after some calls. Birthers hail judge's decision that could depose Obama. That's an Infowars.com article by Paul Joseph Watson. It's linked on the right-hand side of DrudgeReport.com. We'll be breaking that down coming up. We've also got Palin coming out saying GOP better not marginalize his supporters. Look, I know Rand has come out and said that he doesn't think that it'd be a good idea for Paul to run as a third party. And I could see that hurting the legacy of Campaign for Liberty, being seen as people that helped Obama get back in. But everything's coming to a head right now. I mean, if Mittens Romney is a carbon copy of Barack Obama, he just has lighter skin, only difference, then, I mean, what's the difference? If Ron Paul runs third party, if he doesn't, you know, win in these upcoming primaries, he's in the race, then he will be injecting real issues, and he's got the base to do it. We need to attack the New World Order now. We need to belly up to the bar and force our way into these discussions now. So people, as everything unfolds and unravels and goes into free fall, people need to understand who's behind all this. I mean, look, it's time to be all in. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, all in. Let's go to some of your phone calls right now. I'll get more into this news coming up. But Julio in Illinois, you're on the air. Welcome.
Alex, Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to all the freedom lovers out there. I was in Acme, Iowa last night at the Paul campaign party, and I actually interviewed Corporal Jesse Thorson before CIA operative Dana Bash interviewed him. And I was trying to get him on my friend's radio show, Liberty Talk Radio, and he said, you know, he just got into the party, he wanted to calm down a bit, and he said, come back in a few minutes. I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And, I mean, his response, Alex, and I hope maybe I can send you the MP3 of this. I mean, when CNN cuts his interview off, or cuts him off last night, he was going to talk about Israel. He was mentioning that Israel can defend themselves. He mentioned that the Israeli military is capable to defend.
Yeah, no, Ron Paul's speech back in the 80s when they attacked the reactor, he said, well, that's their sovereign right to do that. I mean, Israel's got 400 to 800 nukes, conservatively. I mean, it's just ridiculous to say Ron Paul wants us to be nuked. So we've got to have more wars. Again, this is all part of bankrupting this country and our military being used to be the empire's enforcers. You're welcome to send us your MP3 interview with him. You want to put you on hold, and once we get it, come back to you. You can introduce it to us, because I haven't gotten to it yet. We've got it up at Infowars.com. CNN pulls the plug on live feed of Soldier talking about voting for Ron Paul. But if you've got the interview with what he actually said, I'd like him to not be censored. That's pretty exciting. Is it already on the web somewhere, or have you not?
I have an MP3 on my digital recorder. I can email it to you within the next 30 seconds. But here's the thing.
Well, let me just stop you. I'm gonna put you on hold. Jaron, you do need to give him your email, because I actually know Julio sent us a lot of great stuff. Julio, in fact, you're part of the We Are Change folks, aren't you, that actually confronted Al Gore, aren't you?
I didn't confront Al Gore. I'm friends with the We Are Change crew.
No, but you've been involved in some of those actions, right?
Yeah, I confronted Herman Cain a couple months ago.
Yeah, I mean, I just know over the last 4 or 5 years I've seen a lot of your great work. So yeah, I'm going to have Jaron talk to you right now, and I want you to send us that MP3 right now, and then we'll come back to you as soon as we get it. It may be 10 minutes or whatever, because emailing us is like an act of Congress. And we have special systems. We have mice on wheels that get the emails out. You may have to send it to Jaron's private email for all I know, but we'll talk to you right now, Julio, and come back. Here we go. Okay, one of our correspondents, he sent us a lot of good stuff over the years. Julio's on hold. He's been on there for like an hour to get on air and tell us that he interviewed the military specialist, I guess Army veteran, who was on CNN and got the feed cut when he tried to talk about how the military doesn't want to attack Iran. CNN pulls the plug on live feed of Soldier talking about voting for Ron Paul. The Soldier starts explaining how preemptive war is the greatest danger, and the feed is cut, and you can clearly see it cut. And they do this stuff all the time. And so as soon as he's able to MP3 us that to our email system, we'll go back to him and play the clip, and then play with the rest of the story, what he said, breaking that here. If it doesn't come through in the next 10 minutes, we'll just give him my private email. We'll try to get through that way. Sometimes our spam systems block basically everything but the spam. An example is Wayne Paul couldn't get our email yesterday, so Jaron just sent it from his private one. I'm not complaining here. I'm just explaining why it's frustrating. I want to go back to some of your phone calls right now, but first I want to hit some more news. Here's some of it right now. Birthers hail judge's decision that could depose Obama. Ruling denies Obama's attempt to have complaint that seeks to strike president from Georgia ballot dismissed. Birthers are hailing a decision by a judge in Georgia that could see Barack Obama struck from the presidential state ballot if Obama fails to prove that he fulfills the natural-born citizen constitutional requirement to be president. Deputy Chief Judge Michael Malhali in the Office of State Administrative Hearings denied a motion by Obama asking to dismiss the complaint. What about his fake Social Security number that wasn't his out of Connecticut? I mean, there's something going on here that seeks to keep his name off the state ballot during the March presidential primary. The judge's decision now sets the stage for a January